What if England pulled the most epic prank ever? I present you with the country of what? Basically, this is gonna be interesting. Basically, this is a world where England left the United Kingdom. So the new UK is formed under Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Also, I think London is now kind of a city-state. Please tell me in this universe, England then goes back and joins the EU. That quite literally would be the most epic prank ever. Then, of course, without England, the Union Jack would change, as we saw. It would kind of just be like a red and white X with navy blue in the background. Wait, I now just realized there's two city-states, one inside of the other. Is this like a third in the middle? What is going on? This definitely did make me say, what? I love that even in this universe, Wales is still not represented on the flag. 10 out of 10, I want to live here. I present you with the land of the rising sun, which also never sets. I give you the kingdom of Brehon. I think that's how you pronounce that. Brehon? Remember that this is Japan's real name, not the English word that we say is Japan. So the islands themselves over here pretty much look the same. They just have this weird growth to it. And also another strange Irish growth has followed. Again, there are a lot of similarities between the UK and Japan. A lot of it has to do with just the fact that they are an island off a big continental area. I'm a little bit afraid because you use the Imperial Japanese flag with the sun stretching out. I would really want to be as far away from this as humanly possible. Because if the Japanese were able to do this alone, I don't even want to imagine what they could do with the power of the British. All the islands in the world would be colonized. I don't want to live in that world. That's a good map. Do not want to live on that world. What if Chamberlain kept on chamberlaining? I just made that word up right now. I think that should technically be a word. So Neville Chamberlain, before WW2, was famous for appeasement. What if he just kept on doing that with a scary no-no Germany? So it's currently April 1943, and Germany has pretty much all this. Chamberlain abandons Poland after German invasion, so they pretty much just let this country get eaten by the Soviets and no-no Germany. Obviously, the Anschluss of Austria still happened. All of Czechia has been eaten. Denmark don't look so good. Is the Kingdom of Yugoslavia a puppet state to Germany? Oh yeah, we definitely have powers in the Baltics that are helping Germany, basically. So there pretty much is no World War II, but there is going to be a German-Soviet war, judging by this little caption up here that I see. So Germany's been able to build up for several years after their invasion of Poland in 1939. I'm assuming it was still in 1939. I'm so curious in this world because France wasn't ready for German tactics for Blitzkrieg, and so much of the other Western European countries weren't. In this scenario, since like only Poland was invaded, would the Soviets be ready either? If the Germans just launched a one-on-one invasion against only the Soviet Union, and obviously if we continue to see chamberlaining from the UK, I mean, you know what, even if the Soviets knew about Blitzkrieg, they knew how powerful the Germans were, the Soviets just alone, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And also it appears that Germany's probably going to have some allies. Germany's not going to have to stretch out their fronts in Africa and Western Europe. The Soviets are absolutely collapsing. This is going to be horrible. So chamberlaining would absolutely lead to like a massive German Reich. That I don't want to think about that. I don't want to live in this world. And then after he controls all of Russia, he probably does go after the West. I mean, who's going to stop him at that point? Finally, we have it. We have the glorious Canadian Empire. Syrupland has risen up. In this world, Canada became independent before the US, so before 1776, and then they did the Louisiana Purchase. So instantly, right there, that's going to make Canada extremely powerful. They did that overnight. Those are like two really small changes. Like Canada goes independent first, being supported by the French, and then once they become independent, France then sells this territory to them. I feel like this is not super unrealistic. Just two small changes and we have Moose Empire. Their capital then actually becomes somewhere in the upper peninsula of Michigan or somewhere in the middle. Now the US is still here. We have a United States, but they are being blocked off. I'm wondering why Texas remains independent. I think Canada would just eat that too. Also, Mexico has been pushed back, or maybe Mexico went through like a civil war and this is a different Mexican independent state. I wonder why Canada didn't want that. What's interesting about this situation is they still don't have that much population, at least compared to the US today. Still, the official language is English at 73%, which is only slightly more than Canada. Canada has 7.6 million native French speakers. That's 20% of all of their population. I'm also missing the fact that they bought this from Alaska. Of course, Russia would give this to Canada. Remember, Russia was just trying not to give it to the British. That's why they didn't give it to Canada. They were concerned about the British Empire. And then I don't know how Canada got Greenland, but they just took Greenland. I wonder how this would affect the world wars. powers. That is certainly glorious, I can say that for sure. Look who's back, the boys are back in town. I give you the Union of Eurasian People's Republics. Basically a new, revived kind of Soviet Union? Not even kind of, this is supposed to be a Soviet Union. So I guess with a Russian collapse, maybe due to the Ukrainian War or World War III, I will say this is very likely a like pro-Western government in there. But then all of this went to China. Mongolia gets integrated without a strong Russia. Central Asia doesn't know where to go, so they turn to China. And I'm not sure why they got like Indochina, but just give it to them. Let's make it more interesting. Love that Tuvalu is back. The all too powerful Tuvan People's Republic. They are unstoppable. Loving this flag of the Tibetan people, like the mountains, is a nice touch. I guess Korea felt the need to change their flag. Did they unify the peninsula or something? I don't know how they do this. I don't see how that would happen. Oh, they also got Taiwan. This is an interesting situation because Russia collapsed clearly, but the West also collapsed. They just both killed each other? I don't know. Okay, that is, I don't think Cambodia wants to return to that. Nobody wants to see that again. I can literally hear all of the Japanese people screaming while looking at this. A question literally everybody has asked, what if South America was upside down? I've been asking this since like the age of 2. Mommy, what if, so there's clearly a North America still here. Here's probably a Panama Canal. I love that the Falklands are down this way. So we have an Indonesian-like civilization here. It also looks like this is the Amazon. Yeah, so the geography and the temperature has changed as well. Of course, this is gonna be more icy, more tundra. What we're seeing from like Argentina and Chile is now in the thick part of South America, or in other words, kind of Brazil. It doesn't look like there's a Brazil technically here because we have an Ethiopian-like civilization, an Egyptian-like civilization, and a Mediterranean. But if there was a Brazil in this world, I think they'd be pretty powerful down here. Assuming there's still a pretty giant mountain range that goes over modern-day Chile. This Central European-like civil, I would assume probably can't fit that many people. There's a lot of tundra here. I can't see that much activity happening. Honestly, if you flipped South America upside down tomorrow, I don't think anything would change. Everything would just function straight as usual. I think this map is specifically like referencing back in time. We have like pyramids here and stuff. So for some reason with South America upside down, humans like got to South America way faster and we was just building stuff. Definitely maybe the Polynesians got to this coastline faster. It's definitely a fun thought experiment. I like this. I would like to live here. What if the Allies occupied Spain just after WW2? This is 1947 to be specific, so it's 2 years after it ended, and Portugal just got really big. Finally, Portugal was waiting for this moment like their entire existence. The US would get Navarra and a lot of the north of Spain. The French would of course get Catalonia, and they'd reach actually pretty far down the Mediterranean coast. Well, they have Ibiza. And meanwhile, there's the British, which of course would just be extending their territory in Gibraltar. Extending it by a lot, but regardless, extending it. And then Madrid would kind of be this neutral territory, I guess, between the three. Or I guess I should say the four powers. This is a cool map because it's basically replicating what we actually did to Germany, the Allied occupied Germany map. So it's an interesting idea. Maybe Germany and Spain are both occupied in this world. Honestly, these occupations just make a lot more sense though. I can kind of say, I mean, the US getting all the north, I don't really get that, but you got to give it to somebody. These are all like Western powers though. So like, does Spain eventually get reunited? I don't see the point. It's just a fun map. It's definitely be an interesting place without Francisco Franco like so much earlier. Brits basically colonize southern Spain every year, so I don't really think this is too different. They're pretty much on their way already to making this a reality. The Danes have been expelled. In 1948, Mormon military forces expelled at least 1.5 million Danish people. This is where the remaining 20% still remain. Before the German mandate in Denmark, Anglo-Saxons made up about 2% of this area, or 2% of the total population. Where are the Danes going? That's why I'm wondering. Did they just go up to Norway? Maybe Greenland. Oh, maybe Greenland. It's finally a use for that place. And we have the London Accords here, where the country was divided into 3 different areas. And then Bolsonaro's conceptual map, the dude from Brazil. Man, oh man, I wonder how this would affect Legos. Do we not have Legos in this universe? I can't imagine. See, this is what we're all thinking about. Man, those Mormon forces sure are powerful. Ah, the Silk Road Express. This road connects 8 different countries with so many different historical sites. Also, you can fast travel without passport. Finally, I'm able to fast travel in real life. I was tired of only being able to do it in video games. This was obviously done pre-World War I. In all these countries on board was pretty much a miracle, but they managed to do it. On the route, you'll be able to see Istanbul and Aleppo, Mosul and Tehran. Wait, Cyan? We're seeing Cyan? Oh, I think I'm getting confused with Siam. I was gonna say, it doesn't go down south. There's also offshoots that the road allows you to go off of. You can take like little shortcuts if you want, go through the Caspian Sea, go check out Romania if you want, Ukraine. I don't really know why they did this, but it's cool. Why not? It was a train service between 1933 and 2004. Basically, no world wars took place in this map. map. I guess you had to do something. They were kind of bored. Might as well build stuff. There's actually further backstory behind some of the other nations that we see on the map, like the Republic of Turkestan, which apparently they've had a lot of political unrest. They've gone through some civil wars. These central powers sure are becoming pretty powerful. I just realized all these central powers of World War I were on board with this. Again, if they're not fighting, they got to do something constructive. It's the Austro-Hungarians, the Germans, the Ottomans, which I think the Ottomans are here still. Well, it says Turkey, so maybe not. They still survived in this world, clearly. I don't see why they wouldn't. I really want to know what this is. Is this basically the Soviet Union? You know, there could have been a World War I. This side just won. Maybe that's what happened. Also, China still is China. Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm only thinking about how slow that train was probably going since it was made in the 30s. That would probably be a pretty painful trip, in my opinion. Maybe it'd be cool, but man, it would take so long. I'm obviously impatient. I can't wait on a train for 5 weeks. The Wagner Group, if they became a whole lot more powerful in Africa. Obviously, there's a lot of things happening in Nigeria right now, and this is a scenario where they continue to expand their power in the region. So within Mali and Burkina Faso as well, and this is the new administrative zone, again, by the PMC Wagner. So with all this new territory under their belts, they have a ton of new gold mines, as well as mines just in general. There's a uranium mine, which I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't know if we want to know. There's a lot of uranium mines, actually, as well as some coal mines. So the Wagner Group has basically become like an actual faction at this point. This is like literally a mercenary state with multiple bases, HQs, power plants. Would France just allow this to happen? Would the West just allow this to happen? Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are now pulling together about 20,000 troops with whatever Wagner has in there. I love the style of this because this really does look like something CNN or somebody dropped, a New York Times report. It's probably because it's based off of what's going on in Niger and then they expanded it a bit over here. This actually feels like the most real map I've seen all day. The day after tomorrow, or I guess this is the 16th of January 2033. Basically, I think the world's frozen over because we have thousands of icebreakers imported to clear ice around port cities. Hamburg port completely unusable due to frozen river. Heavy snowfall makes buildings of Hanover look unrecognizable. Ruling coalition in Berlin blamed for mismanagement of cold wave. Cold wave hits German fishermen hardest. Yeah, so the north of Germany is definitely done. And honestly, if this is happening in Germany, I don't even, you know what? Denmark and Sweden, Norway, they're gone. They've been frozen and they just disintegrated. Meanwhile, German railroads thrown into despair as tracks frozen in mass. Frankfurt's in trouble. Oh, you can see the okay, this is pushing. Remember that Celsius and Fahrenheit come together at -40, so it's almost the same. And that's at Frankfurt, so it does get to -40 high enough. So this is -40 Fahrenheit as well. Yeah, this is unbearable. Manufacturing industry in this area has collapsed. Severe energy shortage in Cologne leaves 1 million without heating. Honestly, there's probably more than just 1 million without heating. It's probably everyone in Germany that kind of doesn't have the greatest heating. German agriculture faces brunt of crisis. Even water pipes across East Germany has bursted. This seems like the recipe for like a civil war, but then again, it's kind of hard to fight a civil war when everything's frozen. Even I didn't think about the Alps because this is more elevated, -52 degrees. So Germany's literally frozen solid, but I bet you the Sahara's feeling pretty nice right now. Take a nice little vacation down to Mali, get the tropical vibes. Maybe not Mali because they're landlocked. Probably someplace closer to the water. But man, Africa's probably loving this world. Oh, it was the Atlantic Gulf Stream that basically collapsed. It's the thing that keeps Europe warm, even though they're like the same latitude as Canada. Obviously, Europe is not as cold as Canada, but without the Atlantic Gulf Stream, everything is gone. Again, Sahara Desert, though, becomes pretty nice. What if the Goths were the one to form the Empire of the West, or the Holy Roman Empire, instead of the Franks? Remember the Holy Roman Empire? They're infamous for having some crazy border gore, but they functioned as kind of one big thing, and this is, in our world, kind of modern-day Germany. It was basically formed out of the Frankish kingdom after this fell apart. But in this world, it was formed by the Goths, so we have a Gothic Roman Empire, or the GRE. So they do still get a lot of Italian lands, as well as like modern-day Switzerland, but now they're getting all of France and, more crazy, all of Iberia. That's Portugal and Spain. So this has now become kind of like a de facto France. It's Francia. I don't know what's going on over here. This is just barbarians, I guess. Denmark is now free. So if France was the thing to destroy the Holy Roman Empire before, this is going to be the thing that has to destroy this Holy Roman Empire, which I think would be a little bit more difficult. I'm assuming with time, like, things would collapse slowly. We also still have the Byzantines out here. This is probably the Holy Roman Empire, or the G Roman Empire at their height. I am assuming that slowly they'll lose this territory, like chunks will start getting eaten away, whether it's by Francia or like, I don't know, a power out of the UK. But still, someone's gonna have to march like pretty deep into Iberia because I can't see this stuff falling. This would also eventually lead to like a Holy Roman Empire that's like colonizing all of America. Like imagine South America, but under the Holy Roman Empire. I don't think I want to. It seems really weird and scary. I want to make a joke about the Hot Topics stores because we're talking about goths, but I'm gonna just refrain from doing that. I'm disappointed in myself. Big thanks to my patrons. Destiny 9000. Drew needs to pay his taxes.
Why am I doing this?
JohnDenver,
I'm the kidnapper.
Jack
Traven's
Annoying
paid his
Friends,
ransom. This channel's not run by
InquisitorXarius,
Carmel
Caleb,
Saida
is real. I am not a paid actor.
LuxembourgLover,
Patrick
RyeThePie,
subscribe to
TheGreatRalphy,
Mexican
Twickenhamster.
Become a patron by checking the description down below.